Hi, how are you today? I'm Lynda Hafner, top producing realtor at ERA Key Realty in Central Massachusetts. Today's video, we're going to talk about what is the best loan for first-time home buyers. I hope you've had a chance to catch some of my other YouTube videos where I go into a lot of the buying and selling processes. If you haven't yet, please check them out. And if not, you can subscribe. I'd love for you to check out and learn more about this process so that you can make the best choices for yourself. So I've been doing the past few videos have really been talking about first-time home buyers. Now, it may seem like, well, why is it important what loan we get? Why does it matter? It does matter. And that's why I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. And it's really not so much the loan that is so important as it is the pre-approval, because really you can't even start looking at homes in most cases until you have that pre-approval letter. And so this video will help guide you to make the best decision as to which pre-approval letter you should get when you're considering putting in an offer on a house. So before I get into the explanations that I'm about to, I want to just have a little bit of a disclaimer and let you know that I'm going to be giving you a very brief overview. To be honest with you, everyone's financial picture is completely different. Their credit score is different. Their debt to income, which means how many loan payments you have, those are different. Your income is different. So no two people are going to look the same. So please reach out to a lender for specifics. But this kind of is just to give you background information so that you can make educated decisions for yourself when you do talk to a lender. If you're anything like me, I always like to have one answer, direct answer, not, well, it depends. But in this situation, it does depend. And I hate that answer. But it depends on, one, what kind of market we're in. Is it a seller's market or is it a buyer's market? If we're in a seller's market, you need to target your pre-approval letter to the seller. And I'm saying that because of the market we're in right now. While I'm making this video, we're in a very competitive seller's market. And so my short answer to what's the best loan you can get and what the best pre-approval letter to get would 100% be conventional. Why conventional is because conventional is what a seller and seller agent prefers because it's going to have the least number of restrictions on the home that you're buying. So it means it's going to be much easier and a much smoother sale for the seller. So here's a little insider secret that most first-time home buyers don't realize. And that is that if you are putting in an offer on a house that has an experienced, savvy real estate agent that has been around the block a few times, like myself, they have gone through enough transactions to realize that a conventional loan does not require the seller to do much other than sell the home. Whereas an FHA loan or a VA loan has a lot of safety requirements that actually require the seller to make sure that their home is up to their standard requirements in order to give them the loan. Now, you'd think that would fall on the buyer, but it really doesn't. Because by the time you find out there are safety requirements, it's already probably halfway through the transaction, which basically means you've already wasted about 3 weeks, because the point at which you realize this is at the appraisal. Now, a new agent isn't going to know this, okay? And they'll just accept any offer. But if you're a first-time home buyer in a very competitive market and the seller has 3 conventional offers at the same price, 3 FHA or VA loans, exactly the same price, very similar terms, but the only difference is the type of financing. A smart seller agent is going to recommend the smoothest sale, which would be a conventional loan, because it's going to require less work on the part of the seller in case any safety issues show up. So what kind of safety issues am I talking about? Let me explain just a brief example, okay? And one would be just in older homes, a lot of the stairways leading to the basement, they just have that one little railing, okay? And it's completely open from the stairs to the cement. Now, FHA and VA, they look at that as, a little kid could walk down those stairs, literally fall off the side, hit their head on the cement, and hurt themselves. And that would be a big issue for them. They're the ones giving the buyer the money. So they're saying, nope, sorry, if you want us to give you the money to the buyer, the seller has to do this, and this to get their home to the standards that we allow the buyer, to purchase. So that generally falls on the seller. And the seller, with a wise seller agent, will listen to their seller agent for advice on what the best offer is, and a wise seller agent will tell the seller that that is the case. And a conventional loan is going to be a safer bet. It's going to require fewer fixes on that type of home. Now, if the home is a brand new construction, or it's completely up to date and everything, it shouldn't matter. But in older homes, in homes that may have little things, like even the steps have to be the certain distance, there's a lot of little things that an FHA appraiser can pick out when they come to visit the home, which always happens. This happens after the offer is put in, the home inspection is done, purchase and sale agreement is signed. Once that purchase and sale agreement is signed, then the lender requires their appraiser to evaluate the house of the seller. Okay, now as an unsuspecting buyer, to you it doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you're on the other end of the deal, it matters. See, these are the things first-time buyers have no idea about. So if you have an FHA loan and you keep not getting your offer accepted, that could be part of it. However, I don't want to discourage you. There are many times FHA is perfectly acceptable. And if that's all you can qualify for, by all means, go for it. That may be your only option, and if it is, but what I'm saying is, if you have a choice between conventional and FHA, go with the conventional, because in a seller's market, that's what's going to be most likely accepted. Couple things I want to say. One, in case you haven't seen any of my other video, when I talk about a home seller's market versus home buyers, basically it just means that there are many more buyers than sellers. So, like, for example, for each house that goes on the market, if they're getting 10 offers, this is the situation where it becomes difficult. But if you're in a normal market or a buyer's market where there's a similar number, like a buyer's market would be fewer homes on the market than there are buyers, in that situation, my recommendation is to get the absolute best loan that gives you the lowest rates, the best financial advantages, and the lowest cost to you, okay? And that you would need to actually talk with a lender and figure out what your options are. Again, everyone's financial picture is so different, and there are so many different loans out there, and each loan has different requirements and restrictions. It depends on what your credit score is as to what loan you can get. It depends on, how much money you owe for car loans, student loans, your debt to income ratio, they call it. There are certain limits on different loans that make one loan better than another for each individual person based on your whole financial picture. And the lender is the best person to go over this. I'm just doing an overview of some of your options. So conventional is probably one of the most popular, but FHA is actually FHA might actually even be a little bit more popular depending on for first-time home buyers. I find I work with a lot of FHA buyers, and we often get the home. It just might take a couple of times in a competitive market. But again, if it's in a buyer's market or a regular even market, you're fine. Go for what is best for you. Talk to your lender about the costs and the fees and things like that. So we're gonna go over a couple of the other types of loans that might be a possibility as a first-time home buyer that may not work for another type of a buyer. Behind me, you will see there are 7 different loan options that I have listed. First is conventional, we talked about. I've talked about FHA. FHA allows for a lower credit score in buyers. If you're a first-time home buyer, it might get you into home if your credit score doesn't meet the conventional requirements. And VA, VA means veterans loan. It means you have to have had some kind of service within the veteran or have had a spouse that was. Then there's USDA, which is a no down payment program. Both VA and USDA are no down payment programs, which a lot of first-time home buyers find attractive if they meet the qualifications. Only certain properties will qualify with USDA. You may not be able to get one right in a major city, depending on its location. Again, all of these loans have different benefits versus disadvantages. So some have extra fees, some have lower debt to income ratio, so that your financial picture might fit in this slot, but they might have a little bit of an extra fee. These are the things you need to sit down with a lender and talk about. For example, one of the things I have on here is like the mass housing. Mass housing is a great program. However, if you have a lot of college student debts, it may not be the right program for you. FHA may work better because the debt to income ratio in the mass housing is a little stricter than it is for FHA. So these are all things that as a home buyer, I want you to talk to a lender about, get the specific information on them and find out, and maybe even talk to more than one lender and find out if they have any other programs. Sometimes a credit union may have a certain first-time homebuyer program that is like a special program. Everything has different benefits, whether if you don't have a down payment, but you have a great credit score, a different loan might work better for you than, say, if you were someone who has a huge down payment but not as good credit. So this is where all these loans are going to be different depending on your financial picture. But I have wonderful lenders that I can recommend to you as a first-time home buyer, help you get a pre-approval, walk you through the process, and I would love to do that. And I can recommend all kinds of people. If you want to reach out to me, 508-942-7923. I would love to help you find your first home. All right, have a great day. Thanks.